In the next 5 years, data center space is going to give huge opportunities for building wealth for long term. Have a look at this and you see that in the month of October 2025, Adani and Google announced their partnership and they're going to build India's largest data center, which is going to cost them around 15 billion US dollars. And that's going to be ready by, let's say, 2030. Just 1 month after this announcement came Reliance's announcement that they have also created a JV partner and they are going to launch their second data center that is going to be in AP and they're going to spend around $11 billion. This is the second data center that Reliance has announced in the last 12 months or so. And it's not just about Adani's and Ambani's. Have a look at this data point where Amazon, Microsoft and Google together have pledged a combined investment of around $67 billion in India since October 2025. And if I were to break this down, Microsoft is saying $17.5 billion. Amazon, $35 billion, a company that I'll speak about in this particular video in quite a detail. And then finally, Google that has committed around $15 billion of investments in data center. Now, if you're wondering why these big companies are investing in India, have a look at this screen here. And this is talking about India's Draft National Data Center Policy 2025. This is going to be a game changer policy if this gets implemented. Why? Because as per the draft policy, they are talking about giving 20-year conditional tax holiday for data centers. I mean, a country where in India we are paying income tax of around 30% and whatnot, and corporate tax of more than 20%. All of a sudden, if there is a policy that says that for 20 years there is a tax holiday for data centers, guess what? It's going to invite a lot of investment in India's data center ecosystem. So if you're an investor that is looking at a portfolio for 2030, then data center sector should find some space in your portfolio, in my view. And in this video, I'm going to talk about a couple of stocks and a couple of ETFs that you can go and study and explore. I'll share my study and my research with you, totally unbiased, so that you learn about what's happening in data center space and you're not going to find this content anywhere on YouTube. If you don't know me, my name is Rahul Jain. I'm a full-time investor, a content creator, and a SEBI registered research analyst. I do my independent research and I share it on this channel in English. I also have started a Hindi channel. The love and the support I'm getting on my Hindi channel is phenomenal. अगर आप मुझे हिंदी में सुनना चाहते हैं तो go and subscribe to that channel. Otherwise, continue here in the English and I'm going to talk about now 2 stocks and 2 ETFs in data center theme. The first company that I'm going to discuss is Anantraj. I talked about this company around 4 months back on my channel, but there are a lot of updates in this particular company when it comes to data center space. So just a quick overview, this company operates into real estate. So they build residential businesses, luxury housing projects, affordable housing projects, so on and so forth. But they also have their annuity business and one of them is data center. Now let me give you a view on their data center business in terms of where it is, how much growth they are seeing and what are likely to be the profitability from data center space. But before that, if you look at this company's overall growth rate in the last 5 years, if you look at the fundamentals, revenues growing at around 69% CAGR, EBITDA profitability measure, that is growing at around 76% CAGR basis. PAT is growing at around 149% CAGR basis. These are some real numbers. These are not in future. These are past performances. If you look at the last couple of quarters in 2025, then if you look at the revenues grown at around 198%, EBITDA 259% and PAT around 359%. Phenomenal growth is what we are seeing in fundamentals. Now coming to their data center business, which is what I want to talk about. If you look at the first half of FY26, they did around 58 crores of revenue from data center. And if you look at the total revenues, they were around 1223 crores. So if you do some maths, around 5% of their revenues came from data centers. This was the first time they started to get some revenues coming from data center stream. Now the question comes, Rahul, what is the profitability of this 5% revenue that the data centers are generating? Is their data center business profitable? So what their management said is that the EBITDA of data center segment is around 75% and the PAT is around 43%. So very, very healthy profitability is what their data center work stream is giving. But the question comes, it's only what? 52 crores, 58 crores, which is only 5% of their business. Well, here is what the data that you need to know, that by FY27, they are projecting that the data center segment is going to give them around 1200 crores of revenue. This is what their projection is. I don't know whether they will be able to fulfill it or not. Of course, there is always a risk when the management is projecting such a huge number, but that's what the reality is, that the management is saying 1200 crores of revenue from data center by FY27. Okay, Rahul, understood. How much of data center capacity they have right now? So as of now, they have around 28 megawatt. Now, why data center capacity is in megawatt? I've explained all of that in my first video on data center, this video. Please go and watch that video. You are going to learn some basics of data centers in that particular video. In fact, I covered Anantraj there. Also, another company that I talked about in that particular video. Go and watch that video. You're going to learn a lot. But coming back, 28 megawatt of operational data center capacity. And just to break it down, they have 3 data centers. One is Manesar near Gurgaon, Panchkula, I think it's in Punjab or Haryana, whichever state, and then Rai. This is near Sonipat. These 3 data centers are being built right now, and these 3 are operational as of now. If I talk about the future growth prospect of data center, they're talking about by 2030 around 307 megawatt of capacity. And just to put this in some context, Reliance and Adani's and Google's, they are talking about 1 gigawatt. Here they are talking about 307 megawatts. So by 2030, it's going to be almost 1/3 of Adani's and Google's. That's the sort of scale that this company is operating at. But very, very recently, just 30 days back, they also announced investment of 4,500 crores in data center facility in Andhra Pradesh. I feel like everybody is going to Andhra Pradesh now. Google and Adani announced their data center in Andhra Pradesh. Reliance also announced in Andhra Pradesh, and now this company as well moving to Andhra Pradesh. I don't know what AP guys are doing, but they are pulling some good investment into their state, which is very, very good for them. So overall, if you ask me, their data center theme is likely to do well in the next 4 to 5 years. Of course, in the short term, prices may fluctuate, a lot of risks might come into the picture. But if you're looking for long-term investments, go and study this company. There is a lot of information that I have not covered. Please go and explore that as well. Now, from shareholders or investors perspective, couple of things that you need to know. In the month of October, they did a QIP, qualified institutional placement, around 1100 crores, and they had set up around 662 per share as the price for that. And which companies invested in that? You can see the good companies here: Morgan Stanley, Jupiter India, Kotak Mahindra. All of these had a share from that QIP, and the floor price was 662 per share. Also, very recently, in the month of December 2025, the promoters bought the company's stake back at around 507 per share. These are some of the points that will allow you to look at this company from a holistic perspective. I've talked about fundamentals, I've talked about QIP, I've given you a lot of information. Please go and explore this company. By no means don't take this company as a recommendation here. Why? Because there are a lot of risks. What are the risks here in this company? For example, all of a sudden, let's say in US, data center theme, AI theme comes crashing. What's going to happen to Indian real estate or data center stocks? They are also going to feel that pressure, definitely. All of a sudden, let's say a Chinese company comes out in the market and says that we have the best data centers or the best AI technology, then US might come under pressure, India might come under pressure. Those are some risks that are inherent in data center. Therefore, if you want to get into data center space, don't look at this as a short-term trade opportunity. Only look at 2030 and make sure you have a strong heart. With that, let's now move to our second company, that is Amazon. Look, if you're discussing about data centers and AI, and if you're not talking about companies like Amazon and Google, then your discussion is incomplete in my view. There are few things that you need to know about Amazon that nobody is talking about. First of all, have a look at this data and you will see that in August 2025, Amazon announced that we're going to spend around $100 billion in data centers. And that is more than the GDP of many countries. Now, one of the problems with Amazon that shareholders have witnessed is that in the last 5 years, the stock have not really made them wealthy because it's gone up by only around 41% in the last 5 years cumulatively. That's not a growth you expect from a company like Amazon if you're a shareholder of this company. Now you will say that, Rahul, maybe it's that the company is not giving growth in their fundamentals. Maybe that's why the shareholders are not very, very happy.